everybody, it's Jack and Dan.
What's up? We're doing a little bit of an unboxing, aren't we, dude?
Yep.
Jack loves doing unboxings.
Yep.
We have a package from JM Bamboo over here, right? All the way from Hacienda, California. A lot of people have asked us, they say, hey, where do you get your bamboo from? And this is where we get it from. They actually have a store on Amazon, and they're very reasonably priced. We got 10 giant spiral stalks of bamboo. Remember when our rope fish, about, 6 months or so ago, got the fluke worms?
Yeah, I know.
We had to treat them with some medication, and it got some of our bamboo a little funky.
Yeah.
And we ended up pulling some of it out and all that. But anyway, we got some new ones. We got 10 of these for about 55 bucks. So that's about $5.50 a stalk. Let's open it up, see what's going on. All right, so Jack's gonna cut this open. You can see it's already kind of bursting out a little bit here. Basically what they do is they wrap the roots in these tiny little bags, and then they put it in styrofoam. Bamboo is incredibly resilient, but unfortunately the medication we used was a little bit destructive to it. So look at this. It's just basically sitting in here
Bone bubbles.
in these little peanut guys, right? So let's take one out, take a look at it. They're intertwined quite a bit. That's okay. It's going to get all over anyway. And you can see, so they take 5 at a time, and then they just wrap these roots up with water. There's actually water in there, and they tape it up. So it keeps it, keeps the roots nice and wet and everything. Takes about, what did it do since we ordered it? Maybe 5 or 6 days?
Yes.
From the time we ordered it. They have to do the order and send it out and everything. So you can see how these stay in here pretty awesome. And so these have spirals and just small sprouts coming out the top. So we're going to kind of show you guys how we add these. We're going to add some of these back to the 220 gallon. And then ultimately, the ones that don't go in, go ahead and lift that one out. The ones that don't go in there, we're going to keep we have some new projects we're working on this summer. And they're going to end up going in there, and we'll just keep them in some water until then. Look pretty good. Look nice and green. Yeah. And you can see here, it's just like big. Basically a bagged up thing. Yep, these are about the same size as the ones we have. They're going to go down into those bowls up through the top. So let's get over there and check it out. All right, guys, so basically we're just going to cut this stuff off. Obviously, the rubber bands are no big deal. They cut off real easy. They just kind of do that to hold them together, and they do get a little bit intertwined. You got to kind of separate them. As far as this whole thing goes, basically you just want to be real careful and just kind of cut down to them. If you can cut away, that's better. Again, water is going to come out, so make sure you have a towel or something down like that, And you can see that they have this gel stuff in here, and they kind of do that to keep it, moisturized. And then they just kind of slide out.
Moist.
You can see these roots look pretty good. They're nice and orange and white, and that's how you want them to look. And then that's just a little kind of nasty packet. We've never had any kind of problem with this company as far as like parasites or any kind of issues like that. We've used many of their products. They have a lot of different sizes and shapes of bamboo. But what we are going to do is we're going to take them all over to the laundry room. We're just going to rinse them all off with like warm water. Make sure that all this gel and everything is off here. We don't want any fish or anything to eat it. These are pretty good sized roots. We're going to push them down into that sand, and we're going to get them in there. And then we're going to show you kind of how we use the tile on the top of the tank to hold them in place. And ultimately, just like the ones we have, these will continue to grow not only larger, they will actually grow more sprouts, and then we repropagate those by cutting them off and using them in other tanks and things like that. The reason we've always liked bamboo is, quite honestly, it's fairly inexpensive. Nothing really ever seems to eat it. The huge plecos will sometimes start to gnaw away at it if you don't feed them. That's easily resolved by tossing big zucchini in there. We have some huge plecos. We just put a zucchini in there about once every week or two. They eat that, and then they leave the bamboo alone. All right, so one of the biggest things that happens with these is they do sometimes get a little bit intertwined here. So you just kind of unscrew them and just, make sure you're kind of delicate with them. Bamboo's pretty resilient, but we're also checking it out just to make sure there aren't any outward signs of disease or issues or bugs or anything like that. As far as the roots go, we're just taking a little shot of tap water. We're just kind of washing off that gel stuff. And again, kind of inspecting the roots. There aren't really any issues. You could actually see some tiny little white roots, which means they're brand new, that started growing right in the bag on their way over here from California. Isn't that super cool?
That's pretty cool. You gonna tell them what you're gonna do with that tank right there?
What tank? I don't see any tank. All right, here they all are ready to go into the tank. Now, again, I want to point something out. You'll notice there are no roots along these shafts at all, just on the bottom. If you look up here on the already existing ones, there are a multitude of roots that come out of this shaft here. Now, you'll notice that they don't stick out necessarily, that they're just like tiny little pit holes like that, if that can stop the parrot's fish from bombing. There's a good example there. And then as you go up, you'll see these little circles all along the way. And the reason that they don't basically hang out like other roots is because of these plecos. When these roots grow in, they eat them. They actually love them, but they're not able to eat them into the stalk. The stalk is too hard. Now, again, if we forget to feed them, or if we're not feeding them enough vegetation, they will start to work on the shafts of these bamboo, and they will tear them down and eat them. But they won't really do that unless they're like starving. We are doing a little experiment too there. Never threw a carrot in here before, and so that's kind of fun. Looks like the clown loaches are kind of digging on the end of it there, but we haven't really seen the plecos do much to it. Now, this little albino pleco here has been picking at it a little bit. Hey, we just thought we'd throw one in and see what happens. But these big guys don't seem very interested at all. So anyway, they do eat those, but those roots still function. The water still gets sucked into those little holes and filtered. And of course, those big long plants help to remove, carbon dioxide and make oxygen. So we used to have about 4 over here, and 3 of them died. And then over here we had 4 and 2 of them died. So we are going to replace those, and the extra ones we're going to keep for a new project probably, and maybe even add more. But we're going to wait and see. We might end up putting more depending on what we can fit up here. We do really enjoy having the plants come all the way out the top, go up to the ceiling like that. We think it looks really cool, and we like how it looks. And then the other thing is they continue to grow. So when they hit the ceiling, we chop them off, and we use them in smaller tanks and projects and things like that. So we're gonna get these guys in here, see how it looks. All right, so that came out pretty cool, huh, buddy?
No.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, they're a little tiny bit shorter than the previous ones we had, but these are the longest ones they sell. They're 24 inches. But the measurement goes from way at the bottom of the stalk up to the spiral. So the spiral still should hang out, which it does only a tiny little bit. We also had to do this too, didn't we? Yeah. We ended up adding a little more gravel and sand to these bowls so that the roots would be covered a little more. Let's flip this around. We'll take a better look. So we did have some gravel sitting around. We did add a little bit more just in order to kind of bury those roots a little bit so they could stick out the top a little bit more still. They do look pretty good. We went from like shortest to longest, just like we had the other ones. And then of course the bromeliads are up there. And then on this side, they do the same thing. Now, obviously, these are going to start growing just like this side, and then they'll end up filling up and going all the way up to the, ceiling and everything too. But again, one of the main reasons we have these is we really like how it looks there, kind of branching down into the bowl. The little guys do get to go into that bowl. It gives them a little hiding place and stuff to, dig around. And the clown loaches go in there, the smaller plecos and stuff like that. There was a little bit of a glare from the windows today, but anyway, came out pretty good. Should look pretty awesome. So far, everybody's digging the new design. You can see there's a little lady pleco right there on the avatar rock. They're really digging the avatar rocks. This Sedadonis guy has pretty much made this one his home. He hangs out in there all the time. And there's always a clown loach or a pleco or somebody. There she is. She's on the other side now. There's always a clown loach or a pleco or somebody kind of hanging on to one of those. And they're really digging the whole ropefish island, or Mount Ropefish. Jack can't decide on which one of those names he likes better. You like a Ropefish Island or Mount Ropefish better?
Ropefish because it has more mountain look to it.
Mount Ropefish instead of an island, yeah. It's totally cool. But it came out good. There we go. Continuing the scape on this tank. Everything's going pretty well. The only thing that we did notice is this guy right here has become a little bit more of a tank boss without Iastigi being in here. When you have a big turtle, a big reptile in with the works, they are absolutely the alpha of the tank. And with her being gone, he's gotten a little bit more of an attitude. He did kill one of the other parrotfish, pretty big one. So if he does not behave, most likely he's gonna go back either to Best in Pets or back to the Ohio Fish Rescue where he came from. We actually adopted him because somebody didn't want him. He was left abandoned in an apartment. So we'll see. We may have to end up taking him back. We certainly don't want him to kill any more. It seemed like an isolated incident, and hopefully they'll get used to the new scape and all that. But he is quite giant. So we'll kind of see how it goes. See if you can behave yourself, buddy. If not, he's going to go back to the rescue. We may get some more parrots and trade them out. He may just have a little bit too much of an attitude. Even though this tank is pretty huge and it's opened up a lot now with that aqua cave being gone, may just be a little too much. He may just have a little bit too much of an attitude. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, everything else going good. So guys, if you have not used bamboo in your tank, obviously it's very hardy, it's not very expensive, and it goes very well. Jack and I really like how it looked, don't we, kiddo?
Yes.
It's pretty easy to maintain and take care of, and of course it does propagate like a lot of plants do, and you can trim it off the top and use it in your other tanks, or we have some of the planter outside now. We have other plants. I mean, you could just pretty much plant it anywhere. It'll continue to grow. You could use it around your house or whatever. So we will put a link in the description for the company that we do get it from. We think they're a good company. They've always been reliable, no problems, other than when we had to put that fluke worm medicine. That was the only issue we ever had with it ever.
Yes.
Pretty much in our entire lives. So check it out. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time, all right?
Bye-bye.
Look at all the clowns. They're like patiently waiting. They're like, are you done with those bowls yet? Because we like going in there. Look at this little girl. She's going to be the first one in there. She's like, I'll clean up the outside for you guys. Yeah, the clowns love hanging out in those goldfish bowls. Isn't it cool how they kind of have accepted this big algae eater as part of their little pack? He just kind of hangs out with them.